want to start off just thanking everybody that came out on Saturday, the fans. I thought the turnout was great. It was great for our guys in terms of getting their rings and being able to practice in front of a group of folks. So I thought that was really good for our team, really good for our players. Also excited about this season. Season tickets are way up. I think that was, our fan excitement on Saturdays carried over in other areas. We're just under 7,300 season tickets sold right now, which would be the most since Shaq. The most since Shaq was here. So over 20 years would be the most season tickets we've sold in over 20 years. So we're very appreciative of all the fans who have purchased season tickets, and hopefully we can get a few more to join between now and November 8th when we play Bowling Green. But we're very, very excited about the interest level in the program and the excitement of our fans thus far. This weekend we're going up to Louisiana Tech to play in the road game. It's a charity exhibition game. The proceeds from the game are going to go to help rebuild some of the infrastructure in Ruston from the devastating tornado this spring. Something that we got together with Louisiana Tech and certainly wanted to take part in and help out any small way that we can. So it'll be really good for our team. I mean, Louisiana Tech, on top of that, it's a very, very good team. They returned five of their 6 leading scorers. They got a waiver from a big 6'10" kid who played at West Virginia, who's from Florida. It's going to be a hostile environment, and it'll be a very, very good team we're playing. A team that gave us everything we could handle here last year. Javante's 3 hit 4 different spots on the rim before it went in where we could breathe easily and ended up escaping by 7 points. So like I said, they returned 5 of their 6 leading scorers. They've got a very good backcourt, very, very good guard play, and so it'll be a tough game for us. It'll be good to see how our guys respond in a tough environment, in a difficult environment, when things are moving fast. So we'll be in certainly plenty of those coming up for this season, and it'll be good to see how we do this weekend and what we need to adjust and what we need to do better at. So overall, I've been pleased with our preseason. I've been pleased with the strides that our team's made. I think we've certainly got some areas where we've got to continue to get better, and we got to show that we can do it when the lights come on. But overall, I think our guys have progressed well, and we're going to settle into our rotation here the next couple of weeks and get ready to get going.
All right, questions, raise your hand. Ron, first.
Yeah, well, just update on the health of everybody. I mean, is everybody healthy yet?
Yeah, everybody's as healthy as we've been. Andre Hyatt's going to be cleared to play in the game of Louisiana Tech. He's been practicing with us in a limited role with his knee injury, but he'll be cleared to play. And Javante had a little shoulder injury in practice, but he's fine, and we'll be practicing today and should practice all week. So we're really as healthy as we've been in a while. We're a little banged up, just like you are anytime going through preseason with aches and bruises and nicks and that sort of thing. But in terms of injuries, we're in very good shape.
Will, how have the additions and subtractions to your roster affected the style of play that you're using this year?
Yeah, I mean, we'll be different. We'll be different. You certainly have to play to your strengths. I was telling somebody the other day, I think maybe you, Tyler, when we were talking, that I'm actually much more, everybody's talking about the adjustment. I'm actually much more used to coaching a team like the team we've got now. Last year was much more of an adjustment to me. I've never had 2 or 3 7-footers or big kids. I've always kind of had smaller, quicker teams. So this is actually a lot more kind of normal. What I feel very, very comfortable coaching. And so I think some of the stuff's a little bit overblown. I think last year was more of an adjustment, having to adjust, and we had to change how we played 2 or 3 different times because I just screwed it up a couple times, and then we finally got in a groove and figured it out. But I'm a little more used to playing with a roster that looks like this, and I think certainly we'll be able to take advantage of the strengths. I know the strengths, the weaknesses when you've got a roster like this, and we've just got to play to our strengths. I mean, the reality is we've got a good team. We've got a very, very good team. We've got very, very talented players. But we don't quite have the margin for error that we had last year. Last year we had a little bit larger margin for errors because if we made mistakes, we could just erase some mistakes with with some plays where we were the only team in the gym that can make those plays. And so we're just not going to have quite the margin of error. That doesn't mean we're not going to have a great year, a very, very good year, and could be just as good as we were last year, maybe better. But we're just going to have to be tighter in a lot of areas than we were. We're going to have to really, really play to our strengths and minimize, some of the high risk stuff that we did last year. We just got to be very, very a lot more simple and a lot more steady.
But Coach, with your roster coming into form, which you're more comfortable with, just explain how rebounding and ball movement are going to be impacted by this.
Yeah, well, ball movement's going to be huge. We got to have ball movement, player movement. Our pace has got to be good. Last year we got a little bit stagnant with our pace. The lane's going to be open, so we're going to have to be able to drive it in there and create contact at the rim. We're fourth in the country in percentage of shots at the rim last year. We shot almost 43% of our shots at the rim, and that wasn't like we just fed the post all the time. So we've got to be able to drive it in there and hopefully finish and continue to draw fouls at the front of the rim, and I think that'll help us. Now the rebounding that's where I've talked about. We got to be more solid. You can't gamble quite as much. You can't do quite as much, because once you get in rotation, we're going to get major mismatches on some. We're going to have guards blocking out bigs, and we're just not going to be quite as built for that. So there's some things schematically we've changed defensively to try to help with that and try to make sure that we're playing to our strengths.
Well, going back to what you said about minimizing the high-risk stuff from last year, Tremont seemed like he gave you a lot of creativity, but occasionally things wouldn't work out.
He was really good more times than not.
No question. No question.
We're gonna miss him.
But what are you looking for from Javante and at the point in terms of running the team?
Yeah, I tell people all the time, aesthetically it's going to look a little bit different, but we're going to be able to. He's going to get the job done. He's going to do a very, very good job. It's going to be a little more to what you're kind of getting. It's going to be a little bit more station to station. It's not going to be we skip it over 2 different areas and throw a lot. It's just going to be station to station, a little more solid basketball. Are the wild plays going to be as plentiful? Probably not, but we're not going to have as, I think our turnovers and things like that will be down too. We're just going to be a little bit more solid, a little bit more understated, I guess would be the best way to put it offensively. But that doesn't mean it's not going to be as effective or more effective. I mean, we scored, I think, 82 a game last year. We should average at least that this year. I think we'll be better than that this year offensively, just because we shoot the ball better. So I mean, there's just, there's a lot of different ways to make things happen and get things done. I think we'll be pleased with the results, but it will be a little bit different.
Trendon Watford led the team in scoring in Spain. Is that a trend you anticipate continuing through the season? And also, how effective do you see him being on the defensive side of the ball, especially with his length?
Well, I think Trendon's somebody that's very, very versatile. He could lead us in scoring, he could lead us in assists, he could lead us in rebounding, he could lead us in a lot of different categories, just because he's such a versatile player and such a good player for us. He's one of our bigger guys. I think rebounding is going to be a huge area of emphasis for us. I was very pleased. He grabbed 13 rebounds in one of our scrimmages and against some good competition. So I thought that was a good sign that things are moving in a good direction. But we're going to be a team where we've got 4 or 5 guys that could lead us in scoring any night. And so I'm not sure he's going to lead us in scoring every night or maybe even for the season. But certainly Skylar, Javante, Darius Days. I mean, we got a lot of guys that can make shots and score the ball for us. But Trendon's versatility is just huge for us. When we can play him at point guard, we have some issue. You get an issue. Javante gets in foul trouble. So, we can bring him in and he can bring the ball up the court and get us in offense and get us started. So he can really play anywhere on the court. It's like having a Swiss Army knife. Do a little bit of everything. So that's a good thing.
In year 2 under the program, I guess, what are some of the growths you've seen in Darius and Marlon and Emmett? And what do you expect their contributions to be this year?
Yeah, I mean, we need large contributions from all 3. I think Emmett's the number one thing fans will see is he's expanded his range. He can make shots now. I think they'll still see the same junkyard dog, tough guy who's out there getting rebounds and pounding the glass and doing a lot of the dirty work things for us. Because at his core, that's who he is, and that's what makes him a great player. So I think he'll still do all that, but you're going to see some expanded range. just gonna make teams have to come out and guard us and make things a little bit more difficult on guys. You know, Darius, somebody who's worked extremely, extremely hard. The number one thing with Darius is he's just gotta stay on the court. Last year, he's one of the best offensive rebounders in the entire country. He's a tremendous shooter. He was our best three-point shooter, statistically speaking, last year. He shot 42% from three. And so we just have to keep him, we got to keep him on the court. And so, you know, when I talk about changing our defensive schemes a little bit and making sure we're doing what we need to do, like we have to, you know, we got to make sure we got the right guys, guarding the right guys, and keeping the matchups. You know, last year we got cross-matched a lot because we were doing some different things. Like we want to keep the matchups pretty, you know, pretty even, and we don't want to be running around everywhere. And then, you know, Marlon's somebody that has continued to grow. I think the things that'll jump off the page is he's going to shoot it better. I think some of the other stuff won't be as noticeable to maybe the average fan, you know, because he's just been a great athlete who plays basketball. And now I told him you got to be a basketball player who's a great athlete. So you've got to be able to, you know, incorporate some thinking and understanding where to be defensively, and not just relying on your athleticism solely. And that's something that he's really, really improved on. He's taken a lot of interest in the film room, and so there's going to be a lot of things that he does that are going to be quite a bit better than what he did last year. But it won't. People won't notice because, you know, it's the idea of getting there a half second earlier and making somebody shoot an 8-foot jumper as opposed to a layup, which could save you 2 or 3 points a game if you're doing that consistently. So there's some things like that where I think Marlon will be very improved, and obviously his jump shot, and he's gonna bring what he brings. You know, this is why Marlon's such a valuable player and such a good player. There's 3 plays every night in every game. There's 3 plays in every practice that we have. He's the only person on either team that can make those plays, whether it be like the closeout and block shot against St. Mary's from the lane. Like, I mean, he's the only player on the court that can make those 3 plays. And when you're in the SEC and, you know, 70% of the games, you know, 68% of the games are 3 possessions or less in conference play. If you've got a guy who can make 3 plays nobody else can make, that's a valuable commodity, valuable player, and that's what he is.
I was going to ask you about him. He looks a lot different. How much did he weigh? I mean, he was almost didn't recognize him the other day. How much?
Good or bad?
It looks like he's lost a lot of weight. I mean,
he's lost some. You know, he's at about 220 right now. We'd like to get him back up to about 225 because he's going to lose 4 or 5 pounds during the season, play at 220. But you know, he's going to have to move. We're a team that's going to be built on speed and quickness, and you know, and just playing fast. And so he's got to be able to move a little bit better. And I think our guys are in very good shape, and we're getting in great shape. I think our conditioning is going to have to be a big advantage for us this season, and hopefully we're working towards that. And Emmett's going to be a huge part of that. You know, if you can outrun the other guys, big guy, you know, he's going to be playing against 6'8", 6'9", 6'10". Sometimes he's 6'7", generously probably, but he's 6'7", and you know, he's got to be able to use his speed, his pace, and his quickness to his advantage and to our team's advantage. And
I think you mentioned last year that he didn't get as many rebounds maybe as you thought. Do you expect that to go up?
Oh yeah, he'll be one of if not our leading rebounder. He'll be a very good rebounder for us.
We got all those guys back from the NBA draft process, and I think we kind of saw what it did for Tremont as far as opening his eyes and things that he needed to improve. Do you also see that looking in their eyes?
Oh yeah, I think that process has been great. You know, I know it caused a lot of angst amongst media, fans, all that sort of just all those sort of folks trying to follow it all. But as a coaching staff, you got a pretty good idea of, you know, who's back, who's there. And I said this, you know, earlier, but I think all the guys made the right decisions. I think the guys who left made the right decisions. I think the guys who came back made the proper decisions. And so, you know, there's certainly some benefit from that. You see somebody like Marlon who understands, hey, this is what I have to do at that level. It's a totally different level. That, you know, there's some, I'm not going to say what we've talked about privately, but it, you know, it really opened his eyes to some things. And Emmett as well, and Skylar, you know, he's somebody who went through the process and could have left. He had some teams that were very, very interested in him. And I think you know, he knows what he needs to improve on and the areas he needs to improve on. And somebody like Skylar, you give him a checklist of, hey, this is A, B, and C that we want to see better. I mean, he's just going to just go after it with reckless abandon to check those off, and he's done that this offseason.
Now that you've had some experience coaching like Nas, for example, like some 5-star kind of guys, I mean, with Trendon, is there anything that's been learned, I guess, about how you might have to approach those kind of players?
Oh, yeah, you always make mistakes and you learn and get better. I told Trendon that in the recruiting process. I said, you're going to be better off for me having gone through it with some other guys and made some mistakes. Anybody who tells you you're not going to make any mistakes is just lying. And so there were certainly things that I wish I'd have done better earlier on with last year's team. It took us a little while to gel and get going, and so I wish I'd have done a better job earlier on with some of those guys, and maybe now I have a better picture of how it needs to go and what we need to do and what they need to do to be successful and how big of a jump it is. Not just the physical part, just the mental part is the main thing. It's just how big of a jump it is mentally for those guys. And it's different, you're used to going against 17, 18-year-olds in high school and on the AAU circuit. Well, now you're going against 22 and 23-year-olds, and it's just different going against those grown men. And so I think Trendon's been the beneficiary, hopefully, of us learning some lessons last year, me in particular learning lessons. And as we continue to get really good players, hopefully I'll continue to get even better helping those guys out.
Anything you can share, I guess, specifically about what you are doing differently?
No, I would just say I'm much more focused on, making sure that we're holding them accountable and that sort of thing. But you gotta build some confidence. I think last year, you got these guys, you want to kind of knock them down a few pegs and let them understand, hey, this is what's coming. But you got to walk a thin line between, hey, this is what's going to happen, and this is what you need to be prepared for. But if you do what you've been doing your whole life at a little bit higher level with a little bit more physical, I've tried to walk, I've been much better at maybe not just attacking everything head on. Hey, we got to do this better. We got to do this better. Hey, we got to do this better, but you do this part of it well. And trying to give them a little bit of confidence. So, they're good players for a reason. They were ranked highly for a reason. Those guys usually don't miss, on those rankings too often for those type guys. And so, you don't want them to lose and be paralyzed by, hey, well, this is not what they're not doing. Appreciate what they do well, and then let's attack the areas that maybe they need to improve on, and let's get better with that. But you got to give them some confidence, give them some juice, and give them some swag. To, hey, you got to go out there and play. Be yourself. Be the guy you've been that got you to that point. Now we just got to do it a little bit higher level, a little bit better conditioning. And you can't take some plays off. And so I think we've been better with that.
With a lot of the core coming back with Skylar and Javonte and all the guys that went through last year in terms of winning an SEC title and things like that, do you get to be a little bit more hands-off in terms of how the team is, and I know, but do you get to be a little bit more hands-off with some of the team aspects in terms of expectations and accountability and things like that?
Yeah, I just prop my feet back most of the time. Drink coffee at practice. I have a trust level certainly with Javonte and Skylar, and Days and a couple. I just have a very, very high trust level. We got a high trust level with Charles Manning, one of the newcomers. So I'm always trying to be in tune with what's going on in the team. I do have a little bit of a leadership council this year. It's something I haven't done here. I've done it in the past, but I just I think being 3 years into the program, our culture is kind of where we want it to be, and so I have a leadership group that I meet with, and they kind of can talk to me about some things with the team, and I can talk to them about some things. And so, we always want to keep our pulse on what's going on, because it doesn't matter what I think; it matters what they think or what they hear. I may think I give the best message before practice or before a game, and they could hear absolutely none of it. Hear something that I didn't even know I said when I was trying to get a point across. And so I think certainly having that trust level with those guys helps with that. But you've always got to be on point with the guys and knowing what everybody's thinking, knowing what everybody's feeling, and knowing what's going on.
Look, just sort of outside of LSU basketball, when California passed that Fair Pay to Play Act, did you have any sort of reaction or thought to that of potential, college basketball players eventually being able to profit off their likeness? What do you think? Anything that would do anything to the landscape of college basketball down the road?
I think certainly it's going to change the landscape as it moves forward. I got no problems here I can't, I don't get into all the legalese with everything that's going on with all that. I haven't read through it line by line, but I do think certainly we need to move forward, and I think this is the next logical step in moving forward. We've been moving forward with the cost of attendance and different things, but anything that benefits the student athletes, anything that's good for the student athletes and players, I think is positive for college basketball and positive for college athletics. And so I think this is just a natural progression forward. There'll probably be another progression after this in another 3 or 4 years. I have no idea what that'll be, but I think in general, I think we're moving forward and it's positive, but like I said, I don't know everything that's in there. I haven't studied all that. Probably wouldn't understand it if I did.
We're typically enamored with the new and the unknown, but what would you like to see Skylar and Javonte improve upon this year to kind of close things out for them?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think everybody gets excited about the shiny new toys. They forget the really good players that you have. And so, Skylar's just somebody who's been so steady. I think obviously the number one thing for Skylar is just shoot a higher percentage from 3. I think if he does that, he's a little bit more solid defensively. The number one thing I'd like for both those guys to do is rebound better. And we've got big guards, and they like to talk about we got bigger guards and big guard this and big guard that. Well, big guards rebound, and so they don't. I tell them all the time. The big dogs get off the porch and go chase stuff. They don't sit over there and bark. Everybody can sit over there and bark and say this and say that. You got to go chase the ball down. And so, we need both those guys to average 5+ rebounds a game for us if we're going to be successful. That's a huge area I've been just on them about is rebound down, help us. You can't leak out. There's some things we could get away with last year because we had Cavell and Nas down there they could go grab them 2-on-4. And we're going to need, most teams send 1 or 2 guys back in transition defense. We're going to need our 5 guys to defensive rebound against their 3 guys. And it's going to be like holding on for dear life some nights, but we're going to need all 5 of those guys in there rebounding. So I think the biggest thing those 2 could grow and help us with is rebounding, especially on the defensive end.
Anything else? More? Okay.
Well, the new lane, the new 3-point line, this will help expand the lane and make it better to work around the basket. Do you think that will play to a strength of yours?
I hope so. We've changed, part of the change in our offense has been to take advantage of that. We actually shot the ball better from 3 in Spain than we did last year. Of course, that's not saying a whole lot, but and so it didn't affect us necessarily as much shooting it. But yeah, I do think there's some advantages to it in terms of opening the lane up, opening space up. It's going to make closeouts longer on paint touches, and so I think there's some real advantages to it. Hopefully, we can be the beneficiaries of that and take advantage of that. But we spend a lot more time on on spacing and pace than we have on running plays. In the past we've been much more set oriented, and we're going to run this play and that play, and we're going to counter this with that. We've been a much more, hey, let's get the ball to a scoring area in 3.5 seconds in transition offense. Let's have great spacing, and then let's have great pace and get the ball in the paint as quickly as we can. So we've spent a lot more time working on spacing and concepts than we have maybe just, running 125 set plays at a time. So we've tried to do that to take advantage of that with the spacing and that the new 3-point line provides us.
I'm not looking for game by game, but just kind of holistically, your approach to the schedule. Why did you set it up this way? The way you like it, etc.
Well, it's going to be very challenging. Obviously, the SEC part's the SEC part. They hand us that, so there's not a whole lot we can control about that. But we've got the Big 12. We've got the Big 12 challenge. We go to Texas. Obviously, we open with Bowling Green. They're going to be picked to win their division in the MAC. They're going to be one of the favorites to win the MAC. They're going to win 20+ games this year. We go to VCU, who's in the top 25. In the Bahamas, we're playing Utah State, who's in the top 25. We come back from that. We've got Missouri State, who's going to be picked to win the Missouri Valley Conference and will win 22+ plus ball games. We've got East Tennessee State, who's already been picked to win the SoCon. You got Liberty, who's already been picked to win the Atlantic Sun when we come back from Christmas, and we've got Southern Cal. We've got Southern Cal as well. So it's a very, very challenging schedule. It's you know, we're not going to blow a lot of these teams out at home. I mean, there's going to be a lot of close games for us at home. That's part of the deal when you do a schedule like this. You got to understand the benefits are numerically we're going to look very, very strong, and we got to win the games. But numerically, it sets up very, very well for us, and that's the number one goal, is to make sure that our numerics look good in March. But it's going to be a struggle. We're going to struggle in some of these games. There's going to be a lot of close home games. There's going to be games people are going, I can't believe this was this close against such and such. I mean, because these are good teams and experienced, very, very experienced teams that return a bunch of starters. So it's a challenging schedule for our group, but it'll be really good for us numerically, and it'll also, I think, prepare us for SEC play.
Well, just winning the championship last year, some of these guys that are back, what does that do culturally for your guys, the veterans and the young players coming in? You said you kind of have the culture in place that you want, but what specifically does that championship caliber pedigree bring to some of those younger guys coming in, the expectations it sets?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about, blue collar, gold standard. We want to still be blue collar work. That's what we do. We're going to do everything to to a gold standard, highest standard we can possibly do it to. And so I think it's really just, validation that what we do works. So you don't have to answer a lot of questions about, well, why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? Well, it worked. Just move on. And so I think a lot of it's just that. But we've got really good leadership with that leadership group. We've got Skyler, those guys who have been around, and so I think we'll be fine with all that. But we don't like to talk a lot about. I mean, that's in the past. So I told him that, the other day I was telling the new guys, I said, they don't put championship rings on smooth fingers. Like you got to work. You got to get your hands in the mud. You got to get gritty. You got to get grimy. You got to have some grit to you. You got to be able to work a little bit. And so, it looked great over on Saturday, but we worked really hard for that. There's a lot of stuff you didn't see that went into all that. And so, don't get mesmerized by the ring. And so, at the end of the day, that's over. We don't really even talk about last year hardly at all. I'll talk about certain games and certain situations and that sort of thing. But last year's in the past, and we got a new team, and the challenge now is moving this team forward and being great with this team and doing it again. Nobody around here cares what happened last year. You got to move forward and win again.
How's Andre Hyatt's recovery going? I was kind of surprised to see him out there on Saturday based on the last time we talked. He's
been great. It's going quickly, going fast. Sean Eddy, our athletic trainer, and our doctors, Dr. Windler, those guys have done a really, really good job with him. And, Andre is a competitor. He wants to be out there. He wants to play. He wants to help our team, and he's somebody that can help our team. So I think he's progressing well, and he's going to be cleared to play Saturday at Tech. So we're interested to see. He really did some positive things for us in Spain. He was really coming on in Spain. Did some positive things. The last game he played in Spain, I think he had 13 points for us. Did a really, really nice job. He can help us rebounding. He's a big body. He's 6'5". He's thick. He can get in there and help us rebound, do some things for us while also stretching the court with his ability to make shots. So he's somebody that's going to be critical for us this season. And so we're excited to have him out there and see how he does on Saturday.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.